we're a very short team. Luckily, it's just me and Kenny that travel, and we go everywhere. Just the two of us. I am not only his store manager, but also manages his lights, manages business affairs. We're a two-people team, and it's amazing because it gives us that much face time with one another that makes us closer and our relationship goes stronger. But at the same time, it's also like when you go back to your hotel room and you're just sitting by yourself and you've had a very long day, physically strenuous day, and then you just start developing habits which are not the best for you.
Today, I have the distinct privilege of speaking to someone I have known for many years on camera in a very formal capacity. Abhishek Oswal, you are a artist manager to one of the largest Indian comedians.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to do my first initial podcast thing that I've seen for years.
Yeah.
Get that out of my system before I truly find my podcast personality.
This is a good place to start. We're new and, we're a bit trashy, so welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I've always wanted to be at a podcast. I've done a lot of shit in life, but never a podcast. So it's my first podcast, and this is the first time behind a camera also. I mean, in front of a camera. Fuck, I've always been behind one. So
Well, welcome to The Real Voice.
true, man. It's real.
It's real. You manage Kenny Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's kind of India's favorite comedian. There's so much
definitely
love for him
Yes.
out there. And I feel, does that make your job easier or harder?
A lot easy, actually. Because I think getting straight into it, I've had the advantage, like we've both had the advantage of like kind of just he had to do the grunt work for like a lot of years to get where he is, and then I'm just kind of getting to do the journey, which is from greatness to legacy, instead of like from 0 to 1. Like I got in at 1 to 100, which because 0 to 1's always tough, and I'm getting to kind of like I didn't have to do that, which is a little advantageous, very disadvantageous, because like I would have liked to know what it's like to have nothing and from there get somewhere. But now since I already got in where there was a lot, and now we just have to kind of reap off of that and like grow that comes with a different set of problems, but it's a lot of fun.
That's really nice of you to say. And that's very reflective of who you are as a person. Like you always give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But you also really struggled and you went through the grunt work as well when you moved to Bombay and you started working straight out of college within this field directly.
Yeah.
And I remember the hours that you kept. I remember seeing you after work being half a human being, and I'm being nice. And so you slogged as well, man. And tell me about that journey, right?
So it's very funny. It doesn't start after college. It started way before college. Like
there we go.
It started when I was 15. When I realized I love money.
Yeah,
and
that's a good age.
It was a great realization to be like, yeah, I like money, And since that day, I've never been like, yeah, I don't know what I think about money. I mean, I had a 6-month phase of being a hippie where I was like, I never want to make money.
I remember that phase of yours. But so puberty and capitalism hit you at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it started off with like when I was in 11th grade, like I started my first entertainment company. I mean, it was never like registered and shit. It was just like 4 groups of like 4 friends, and we're all like, hey, you know what? Let's start throwing parties and let's make money from it. Because we're all in 4 different geographical locations of Pune, so we can target 25% each and bring it together. And I threw my first party, which was a pre-Friendships Day afternoon bash at Leather Lounge, which was one day before Friendships Day, because I thought Friendships Day people want to go out, so I should throw a party before. And it was afternoon because my mom didn't allow me to go out in the evening.
Of course, yeah. So it was a sundown.
No, it was an afternoon party.
Oh,
it was 1 p.m. Not a brunch, not a rooftop. 1 p.m. afternoon party, pre-Friendships Day bash. The most successful event I've ever done in my life. And no jokes, because I was the most motivated at this point in time in life. Because I'd made no money still, right? This is the first time I was doing something knowing that this could possibly make money. So I worked really hard. And we oversold a 300 capacity club, and we had 800 people over there. And by 3 p.m. when I was like, let's see what's happening downstairs, and I came down. So this venue was really weird because there was a lobby, then there was a lift which went up, and the club was on the first or the second floor. And the entire section was blocked. And I suddenly see 2 police vans just come in because like there's like 150 people waiting for one lift to take them up. And in the club, everything's full. So I'm like, oh fuck. Like we've just oversold the fuck out of this. I didn't know what to do. I was very dumb. I was 16. I had made like, for the first time, made money by making like very small commission on every ticket. I ran.
You ran?
I ran.
You absconded.
Yeah, I did. Because I was also not a majority partner in this event, to be very honest. The majority owner of this majority partner of this party was a now very prominent corporator in Pune, so I'm not going to name it.
Amazing.
But
everyone has to get their start somewhere.
yeah, and he really became like a fucking like big time corporator, which I'm like, what? So
I hope you're still in contact and are other friends.
every once in a while, yeah.
If you did your absconding affect your relationship?
Not at all,
Yeah.
because no one really came to know. Everyone was very drunk at one point. It didn't matter. So it was all fine. It was just another party in Pune, which was a lot of fun for the ones who entered. Ones who didn't just lost some money. But yeah, it started there, and then yeah, it's been a journey since there. After that, I had like 2 failed ventures, I would say, before I decided to take a job at a prominent artist management organization. And yeah, now what it is it. So I almost had my Greg moment then right now where I said it. Do you know Greg?
Which Greg?
You got Succession.
Yes.
So you know how when Greg is put in front of the Senate and he's like, and the Senate asks him, so you are Gregory Roy. And he's like, if it is, so it may be. Which is fucking name. So that's yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway. No, but tell me what happened and tell me about your journey from being in a conglomerate of artist management, with a very prominent company.
Yeah.
And you were there with them for a couple of years. And now you have gone independent,
Yes.
which seems to be the trend for many people in the industry as well. And like, talk to me about what that journey was like for you.
So I was part of a large organization for almost 5 years. I almost did like 4.5, 5, whatever it counted. And it was really good to be part of that organization. It was a dream organization for me. Like, since I was a kid, I was like, that's shit. That's where I want to be. And when I did it, and it was awesome to be there. It probably gave me like the most number of learnings I could have in like, was that I think that was the age where it was so easy to grasp things. Like it almost felt like, when you're a kid, it's easy to learn language in the first few years of your life and you don't even realize you're learning so many things. I think that was a similar experience I went through for those 5 years with my career in those 4.5 years, where I learned so much so quick that I didn't even realize all of that was happening. Like much later, now I would say like a year ago is what I've realized the entirety of what I've learned. And now if I were to think of relearning that, I don't think 5 years would be enough. Because now it's suddenly like when I'm trying to build my own team and teach these things to people, it's suddenly like what felt like, oh, that's so intuitive. Suddenly it's not. Like now it's like, oh, it's this long drawn out process which my brain has oversimplified because at that time it was just ready to do that. But being independent, I think it's given me one of the most important things in life, which was autonomy. I always craved that. I also come from a family and a culture of like owning business as compared to being part of just a business, where like I've never looked down upon employment at all. I think it's very important, very crucial, and everyone should go through it at some point. But if you feel like you're not someone who's willing to be employed for a really long time, you should not push yourself to it just for security, because that's what I had to do. I had to take that decision. Like I know I'm very secure in the place that I am. I know I have if I was at the peak of my career when I left, like at peak of my career at that company when I left, like I was very, I was, I hope they also feel the same way if they ever hear this, but I was well reputed and I was well liked, and when I chose to leave, which almost felt like counterintuitive to everyone around and myself, but I'm like, oh, I'm just choosing to drop the ball when I could really take the next one, you know. But it fulfilled like something much larger for me, which was autonomy. And there was also like, when I think of it, there was an ideological difference that kind of came in for me as an arts manager, where I think of management as something, a company's vision may be something else. And then when those don't align, do you listen to what your company wants to follow? And you could choose to do that if you feel like employment is your way. But if you feel like, oh no, I want to give my vision more of a push than what the company's vision, I think it's fair for you to move out and not like mislead the company that you're in.
Absolutely.
So
What do you think differentiates your vision from the company or any company, really?
I think artist management is something which is, as much as I love the role, I really hate it from on a lot of days, because it just comes with so much, you know. Artist management is people management. It's not commodities management. It's not product management. None of that. All of that can be put down in some manner. This is just, it's so unique in its problems every day. Like we are lucky that I work with Kenny, who's been such an easy artist to work with and who's always had such consistent business for me to manage for him, that I've not had like a crazy up and down in terms of erratic nature or like things going haywire. Like luckily, I've been very lucky to not have that, touch wood. But just people management as a whole can have such an impact on you, where you want to figure out how it all pans out in the longer run, you know. The shorter run right now, everything's great. I'm very happy with what I do. I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm very comfortable financially to take care of the things that I want to do, which are awesome, which gives you a sense of security. But then also, like a very funny thing that dear friend and a fellow comedian Karan Gill said is, my misery started after I achieved everything. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've not achieved everything, but I have, like, there was a vision that I had for myself 2 years ago, and I have reached a percentage of it, which is very good. And suddenly now I'm like, oh no, you know, like, why am I feeling like, because of that? So I think, I don't know if I answered your question at all. I forgot the question.
You forgot. That's right.
But anyway.
That's okay. I have a follow-up question though.
Yes.
You said it.
No, so
What is the feeling of like you said that you've achieved a certain level that you wanted, and I do remember, you know, when you decided to become an independent artist manager, and then the concern was, will I be able to sustain myself financially?
Yeah.
And now you've gotten to that point where you're like, yes, you've answered that question.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's been successful.
Yeah.
And so then what is the feeling now that is kind of making you unsettled, or, you know,
I think
just like
the idea of having something larger than myself now. I think I've had that. I think those 2 years gave me that, where it was like, ideologically, I wanted it to be about independence and autonomy and decision making. And I got all of that, and I reaped the benefits of that as well. So now I'm like, okay, this is one, like in my journey as an artist manager, I've reached one level of it. I do want to now figure out what lies next. And that doesn't mean swaying away from what I'm doing right now. It's what I'm doing right now and how can I do it like 10x, because I've achieved 1x, which I've done my 0 to 1 now in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
My 0 to 1 has finally happened. And I now want to be like, okay, what can I do next? Like, because I've been doing, so I had this weird thing that I was doing the last 2 years, which was not hiring anyone to do whatever I do, right? Like, no help. And it was almost like self-inflicting pain on myself, because I don't know why, I just felt like I could do everything by myself, you know.
And you kind of did.
And I kind of did it.
Point proving.
I did. And it was awesome. But I could have very easily like gotten some help to do it, and I would have still been fine. But I chose to not and just do everything by myself. And now I'm just like, I don't want to put myself through that again. I could choose to do that. I could continue doing that. But now I want to kind of free up my brain because I have this almost a bad habit, as I would call it, of and I think it's got to do with coming from an office culture of hard work, you know. And I've done like hard work, and I really the moment I don't see myself working hard, I start shaming myself.
I don't know if that's office culture or just Indian culture.
Could be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like,
honestly, yeah, it could be. I think it'd just be like how we've thought of work. And that's really something I've been trying to now get out of for the past few months. Be like, I don't need to sit and work all the time. But that gives you that deep sense of fulfillment, which I'm not able to get from anywhere else. So the moment my brain's like, oh, it's almost like, you know how when you swipe through Instagram, you keep getting instant gratification for like fucking dopamine shot after reel. I am like, I get that when I sit on an Excel and I'm like, oh. And when that happens, and I'm like, now I don't want to do it. As much as I can see the bad end of it now, which I never did. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, I forgot the question again.
That's
right.
Okay. Well, yeah, I feel like the minute you start talking about deep fulfillment, people will just tell you to have a kid. Go down.
Oh, I would love a kid.
Yeah, just have a kid. And you are getting married soon as
Yes.
well, so that's on the cards. Do you feel, because you tour a lot, and in fact you just got home from what, 100-day tour, more than 100?
Yeah, I was on the road for like 9 months total, but that there was with breaks in between. But yeah, the longest stretch of it was 120 days of it.
Right, and that has been a consistent part of being an artist manager.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your relationships in the past and today?
I mean, I don't know if I can talk about the past impact of it because that's a trauma I would not want to open. But
this is the real voice.
the real voice. I'll give you the real voice in the present, not the past.
I'm happy with that. Yes.
But yeah, it's crazy. Like being on the road has an impact on you much after you come back from the road. Like while you're on it, there's so much that's happening. You're in that flow. You continue. Everything works. Life's great. It's awesome. But you have suddenly started doing and being a very different way because you're on the road. You're by yourself and you're traveling. We're a very short team. Luckily, it's just me and Kenny that travel, and we go everywhere. Just the two of us. I am not only his store manager, but also manages his lights, manages business affairs. We're a 2-people team, and it's amazing because it gives us that much FaceTime with one another that makes us closer and our relationship goes stronger. But at the same time, it's also like when you go back to your hotel room and you're just sitting by yourself and you've had a very long day, physically strenuous day, and then you just start developing habits which are not the best for you. Like I picked up a really bad habit of just scrolling insanely on my phone every day. And it's something I'd avoided, but then in the tour, I just kind of gave myself that comfort. And that comfort kind of became a problem when I came back because you can't do that when you have your fiancé at home. You can just be like... Also, the funny part is I was not engaged before going on the tour. I got engaged at the end of the tour. So suddenly now there's this added, not even pressure, there's like this added layer of you're engaged, but the person, like your fiance remembers you as a boyfriend from 4 months ago who was a certain way. But now after coming back from the tour, you're a different person and you're also a fiance. So it's like, in some ways, your qualities have kind of gone down, but your designation has gone up. And then there's this
like that.
Like, whoa, what happened over here? Like earlier you used to give me attention. You used to call me beautiful all the time. You gave me so much love. You kept talking to me. You wanted to talk to me. And now you've come back. You don't want to talk as much. You're always in your phone. And now also your fiancé? Like, fuck.
How did this happen? Like,
yeah, there was a
scam.
lot of...
Scam.
Yeah, it's really, that's what she's like. I also have a tendency to be an uncle. I love being an uncle. And it's something I've, like... I think I also... Partly it was always in me, but it's also something I learned from Kenny because he's also one full uncle. We both are very uncle when we're traveling, and we're like, it's in at airports like this with our tummies out. So, so yeah, I think being that uncle part of me like really came to life, like, and that's something which in my head is hilarious, but in Vaishnavi's head it's unsexy. So, and it just comes with it, man. But yeah, being engaged is one of the best feelings. Like, oh, I'm so happy. I love her. It's one of the best things that's happened to me in life. I never thought I would find love after my last relationship, which is very crazy to be like, oh, and not only did I find it, like, I'm also engaged, and like now I had one grand proposal for her, and like all of that, and I'm like, fuck, life's going in a good direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, being engaged is awesome.
Cheers to that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. And congratulations. I know I said this already, but
Thank you.
it's official now.
It's
on
important to
camera.
say it on the Real Voice.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I really want to also talk to you about just the comedy scene in India.
let's do it.
Let's do it. Because I remember having the most fun conversations with you about, the growth and just different people, different styles. And I really want to know, like, where do you think, is comedy thriving in India besides the three big cities that everyone knows about? Like, where is most of the talent coming from, if you can pinpoint a place?
I mean, to be honest, like, being in the center of it now, I think comedy's grown insanely over the past, like, especially after the pandemic, even more. And we've seen it, like I know because we live in metros, we feel like metros are the biggest markets for comedy, but that's not the case anymore, actually. Yeah, of course, you sell more tickets because there's more people. But there's some really cool people in comedy who are actually able to, like, do a lot of things. Like, there's a comedian and producer from Gujarat. His name's Manan. He's done such a great job at taking comedy to small villages in Gujarat and doing Gujarati comedy, which we never expected or thought would be a possibility. He's taken, I think now there is a touring circuit of almost 10 or 11 towns in Gujarat.
Wow.
And people are coming out, like, those are markets where no one's ever thought of spending on entertainment. That's not been there's not been a thing to spend money on entertainment. And now suddenly there's a Gujarati comedian going there and performing. But I think that's how it begins. We also saw that in the South has always that way been like a front runner in it. Like, Tamil Nadu had its Comicstan like a year ago, which was just great to know that, okay, now there's that whole section of comedians in the South who are also kind of doing comedy in their language. So yeah, 15 years ago and the thing with comedy is we talk about stand-up comedy in a way that did not existed before. It did, like the Great Indian Laughter Challenge and all was also stand-up comedy. But to make it easier for like ourselves, it's kind of broken into two times. There's like TV comedy and then YouTube comedy, right? And if we were to keep TV comedy aside and just focus on YouTube comedy, which started in like 2000, I would say 12, 13, 14, like I think 2014 is when a lot of comedians broke out. But these were the guys who had been working for 4 or 5 years before at open mics and like doing a lot of things. They are now seeing the first layer of success in comedy. And I say that on a global scale. We're now at a point where at any time there's at least 5 Indian comedians touring the world, like at any time of the year, right? And it's awesome to see that every genre of comedy out of India now is being accepted worldwide. And yeah, we are at the first step where it's mainly our NRI folks that are coming for these shows. But I think that's how it begins, right? First you capture your community in your city, then your country, then that same community of people outside, and then eventually you keep growing. So I think this is, after the pandemic, we've seen comedy really have its second jump. I think people will want to go out more, and stand-up's an easy form of entertainment to go kind of experience. You just have to, get a ticket and then you get laughs for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And some days you get to see more acts than you expected. So it just turns out to be a very fun place for people to spend their entertainment budgets in a month.
And is that kind of strange to you that it's taken so long for stand-up comedy to become a preferred entertainment choice for so many people?
I really don't think it's taken that long, It's, in fact, been something which... So we had a phase in 2018-19 where comedy had reached its first peak and has started reaching a saturation point where even the comedians who could sell tickets were not able to sell tickets because there was so many people going to the same city. Like, I remember a point where on one Saturday in a Delhi, there were like 6 of the best Indian comedians performing at 6 different venues, and people are suddenly split on where to go. And luckily, I mean, not luckily, of course, very unfortunately, the pandemic came in. But
Luckily.
yeah, not lucky at all. Sorry, I take that back. But because of the pandemic, suddenly that saturation kind of just came to a standstill, and it kind of reset the market in a way, because the thing is, as comedians write new sets and want to take it out on tour, they get better as comedians, right? The more stage time you have, the more experience that you have, you become faster at your art and you keep getting it quicker and quicker and quicker. And we'd reached a point where all comedians were at their peak of writing and performing. And now when everyone's at the peak of writing and performing, everyone's going to be out there. But then the pandemic kind of put a pause on everyone's life. Everyone rethought a lot of things, decided what's more important, what they want to focus on. And it kind of reset the clock in a way that after the pandemic, when touring began, it began in a balanced way where only like a certain number of comedians are on the road while some other was sitting and writing. And then while they went on the tour, these guys were done with the tour, so they were writing. So it kind of started balancing itself out a little bit. Now we're again seeing a saturation in touring, especially in the UK market, the UK and Europe market, where every weekend for the past, like the entire European summer, I think every weekend there's been an Indian comedian in every city of Europe. So like if you go to Munich or Cologne or like London, though I'm not even, London's almost like Bombay at this point. But even the smaller towns, right? Like Amsterdam's still pretty big actually. Zurich, all of these places, every weekend there's an Indian comedian. You as an Indian person in Zurich can be like, yeah, I can go watch an Indian comedian this Saturday, and you will find a show, which is crazy to think of. But that also means that it comes with the saturation because there's only an X number of people that want to go out for the show. But now there's so many options that they have to choose how much they can spend on entertainment, which then starts like really... Because if you go out for 4 shows in a month, you're spending a lot of money. And every NRI out there is working paycheck to paycheck, kind of trying to make... They have a budget, So now there's a little bit of a saturation in that market. So you keep seeing these coming in and coming out. But Indian comedy as a whole, for the first time, is actually at the really out there. Like, I think one of the recent achievements that have happened is a fellow comedian, Uruj, who was in Edinburgh. She did, I don't know, I think 3 weeks of shows every day. And she won an award for the best newcomer.
Yeah.
Which is like one of the most coveted awards in comedy. It's like, it's literally like the Oscars for comedy, So for her to kind of go out there, perform every day, get the validation, get the recognition from artists like Daniel Sloss, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, and win that award at the end of that is like, it's such a huge tick mark for Indian comedy, And it's very good to see that we're finally making an impact, as we should, because we're 1/8 of the world population,
Yeah.
As Indians, like 1 in, what is it now, 1.4 in 8? Yeah. I think 1 in 8 people is Indian, so why not?
Yeah.
We should truly be out.
Where do you think the future of Indian comedy is headed?
I don't know if I can predict the future, but I can say that we've not even seen the tip of the iceberg yet. Because, to put it in perspective, stand-up comedy in America has been there for years, right? In New York, to be a well-seasoned comedian who has a full hour takes 14 years.
Wow.
To get a spot at the Comedy Cellar in New York, you have to have performed, I don't know how many years before you're even recognized by the Cellar to have a slot over there.
Do you think that still holds true? Because I feel like a lot of young artists that are extremely popular on social media are also getting spots much
course.
faster today.
If you break on
Like-
social media,
Yeah.
and then you can sell tickets,
Then the
of course
doors-
everybody wants.
Yeah.
But that's not the only way that you can think of comedians, right? Because a lot of comedians I know aren't really focusing on social media. And it's not like, as much as I like social media and the impact it's had on us, it also comes with its bad, you know? Like, there are some things about it which I'm not a fan of. But, and especially for comedy, like, I don't think it's necessary for every comedian to be a content creator. Like,
That's interesting.
I don't think it's important to do that.
For their careers.
I mean, it's good financially.
Mm-hmm.
But as a manager, I'm always split in this decision of, is financial benefit the only benefit? Like, is that the only thing that an artist should focus on? No, not really. Because it's, yeah, as important and amazing money is, for how long can you like survive on doing something which you're not a fan of?
Mm-hmm.
Why do it, right? So, yeah, but coming back to my point of where the Indian future of comedy is, like, we have a long way to go. We've not seen huge shifts in power in, like, not even shifts in power, but like big moments in comedy, right? Like Dave Chappelle leaving comedy for 12 years is like such an impactful thing in the American comedy business. And us, like, we're 14 years old in our country as comedy. So, yeah, I think in terms of time, we just have a very, very long way to go, and it's going to see a lot of changes in how things. I think that's also the reason why a lot of comedians are going the independent route after a bit, because they're kind of trying to build their teams, their structures in a manner which can kind of sustain for a longer period. The previous organization I was at was great at what they did. It was amazing. It worked. But after a point, it kind of comes down to bespoke management and not just management. And I think now that's what's kind of happening, where most of the top comedians out there want to kind of try build their teams in a manner which is concise and specific to the way they want to work. And it's helping them see that success. And Kenny and I have seen, after being independent, we've really enjoyed our journey. Like, we've kind of found fun again in what we did. The stress of it is kind of reduced. But there was a point where I used to be very stressed with the amount of work that I have. And like, even now, I have like a shit ton of work, and I'm very stressed by it. But there's now an innate fun to everything that we do, which I think is a very important part of comedy, because it's not rocket science. We're going out for fucking laughs. So we should be laughing before, So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think going independent is like kind of everyone buckling up for the next wave that's going to go up. And it's bound to come. There's no way it doesn't. So.
And just bringing it back to, when you like being independent versus being a part of an organization, have you seen a change in the kind of content that, Kenny is writing because just of versus being independent, and like, does that make a difference?
No, I don't think the art has changed. Kenny's experiences have changed over the years that reflect on the art that he does. But I don't think management has that much of an impact on
what you create.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and I would split it in a way where earlier when we were doing branded content and now when we're doing branded content, yeah, that's changed a bit, a little bit, because now the conversations with brand managers and people responsible, like, the buck stops with Kenny and I. Earlier it didn't. Earlier the buck would keep going up. So yeah, there would be changes that would happen. But now I think we've kind of tried to find a balance of how we work with brands and how we create branded content. So in that sense, maybe just like it's negligible, the change, because
Right.
Yeah, frankly speaking, no, his art has been the way he has wanted it to grow. It's a reflection of his experiences and how he's kind of grown over the years. So management doesn't really affect that much.
In your experience, what makes someone a good comedian?
And
It's okay, we have time.
it's a very broad question, but what it takes to become a good comedian, not in my opinion, but just what it takes to be a good comedian is a shit ton of stage time. Like, you have to be out there every day doing whatever time you get. We get 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever set time you get. Just doing as much as you can. Because seasoning your material is so important. Like, if you don't have the stage time, everyone has a great idea. Everyone has a great joke. But it really is about how concisely well that joke is done, you know? So stage time is the most important aspect for a comedian, and for them to continuously be at it is the only way that they can be great comedians. What makes a great comedian for me? I don't know. Like, there's something which I find funny. That's it. It's done. You know, it could be a facial expression that could be the funniest thing in a whole set. Also for me, but yeah, I would have an answer for that.
No, I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Like, it is so subjective.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Do you feel like, and I kind of have to touch upon this, but do you feel like censorship that, Indian comics saw, I'm not really sure if they're even still seeing it, or if we've all learned our lesson and, kind of taken a step back in that sense, but does that continue to affect the kind of jokes that a comic wants to write and put out there?
100%. We don't have freedom of speech. So
how do you work around that if you're a comedian and you want? Because
I think that's where the skill of a seasoned comedian comes in, right? Like, it's very important to talk about the political scenario, the social situation of a country. Yes, of course, and every comedian should try to touch upon it in whatever way they are comfortable, and their audience will be comfortable, right? Because I don't know how to put this in the... It's a very difficult time that we live in. We've seen our fellow comedians go to jail. So,
yeah.
I think my face says it all. Speak a lot more. But yeah, we live in a time where censorship has affected all art forms, and I mean that across the board. Like, we've seen that happen to film, we've seen that happen to the OTT space, which everyone thought was a space for liberation a few years ago, and suddenly we are seeing that having its own constraints. So yeah, censorship as a whole is something that every creator is tackling. How they tackle it and what they do, what line do they abide by, what line they cross, I think they are all taking individual decisions based on how their audiences would react to it. Because as a creator becomes larger in what they do, they find out their niche and the audience that resonates with them. And it's about just servicing this audience the right way, right? And letting them know how you feel about it, but letting them know in a voice that they understand. Because it's easy to be brash about it and just say whatever you like, but that alienates you from them.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah,
while not alienating them and continuing to tell what you actually feel is the true art when it comes to censorship. So yeah, I see most comedians do it just in a way that they feel comfortable with, because
which is important. Like, you shouldn't be saying things
to have
for the sake of
and
it.
to have a sustainable career. It's tough, it's firstly there's an X number of people that we can count that have a career in this, and they do have the influence, but it's taken them a lot of years and a lot of hard work to get where they are. So they have to make it sustainable as a career. You have to take decisions which may seem like, I know people feel like, oh, why don't they say this? Why? It's like, It's like, because they've spent a lot of time, blood and sweat to get where they are, to like actually, and they're not silent ones either, you know.
But they want
Like,
to protect themselves and their
they want to say it in a way that they're comfortable. Like, your expectation can't be that they say it in the voice that you are hearing it. They have to say it in the voice that people that they tend to can hear comfortably, and they are comfortable saying it. It's like everyone, like Bollywood's a behemoth, right? Like, comedy is nothing to. So everyone in Bollywood, if anything crazy happens, everyone's like, why hasn't Sharukh Khan said anything about it yet? But why will he say something about it when it's not got something to do with him? Just because he has the influence. He's not the reason why your problems exist. Like, his job is not that. His job is to entertain you, and he's doing a very good job at that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dying to go watch Jawan. So
yeah, I've heard only amazing things.
I have heard great things.
Yeah.
But I also hope he runs for prime minister. But
Sharukh Khan for
oh man, if I get runs for prime minister, oh my
prime
god,
minister.
oh, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think eventually, maybe.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I was just talking about his job as entertainment, but like a part of me is like, yeah, you should go for prime minister. Like, that's the split that you're always in, right? Like, you're a part of your brain and a part of your career and your, I don't know, this part of the life, like your brain, the pragmatic part of your brain, which looks after your career and what you do, kind of knows why you're doing certain things the way that you're doing. And then this emotional part was, I don't know, people call it the heart, I think. The emotional side of things. It's like, yeah, make Sharukh Khan prime minister. Just do it. Sharukh Khan for prime minister, we'll get you there. So,
the shortest election ever.
oh yeah.
It's like everyone's gone
you don't
out
need
to
rallies,
vote.
nothing.
Yeah,
It's done.
it's happening. Yeah, I know I'd vote.
Yeah.
For him, for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
That's 100% in this room.
I have totally forgotten the line of conversation that we were on.
It's okay.
Now I'm just thinking about Sharukh Khan for Prime Minister.
If you need
Anyway.
I understand.
Yeah, I do need a minute. No, do you think that, when we put people who are famous on a pedestal, like, does that affect the work that you do, or like how you kind of see yourselves through different situations, the things you write about? Like, do you have to be more careful with the influence that you wield, or do you, I guess my roundabout question is, when you have the influence, how do you find the balance between protecting it but also using it in the way that you want to, that is helpful to the people in your lives and the people around you, the people who support you, right? That's my question.
And the more influence you have, the more accountable you are.
100%.
So your decision making can't be brash. You now have a certain responsibility towards what you say and how you say it. So one would answer yes. But and the creators, so they can do creatively.
What advice do you have for people who are looking to get into the space and, who really want to be comedians, stand-up comedians, or even, our beloved comedians on TV, which has been there since we were kids, and since there have been some fantastic Indian comedians on screen that have really stayed with us, through time. And how do you think someone could break into that?
To be very honest, I'm still very young and inexperienced in my career, and I don't try to mean this to sound humble at all. I genuinely don't have that much experience. But the one thing that I've learned over the years is being true to your art and constantly practicing it will get you on the path towards where you want to get. In that now come multiple caveats of virality through social media or consistency through a strategy. Like, all of these plays and these plans, they all start at two things: stage time and actually saying what you want to say. If you change your comedy all the time for what is trending and what people want to hear, you'll always be playing catch up. But if you have your original thoughts that you want to convey as jokes, if you stick to that, and you keep hitting the stage, you will start your journey. I can only, as with the experience that I have and the person that I am, I can only tell you what it'll take to start your journey. From there, where it goes, it's fully dependent on how you groom yourself and your art, and then how you build a team, how your managers kind of take you and get you the next step in the right deals, and like all of those are very secondary. With someone who's just starting off, I think you just need to actually say what you want to say and hit the stage.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Be authentic.
Be authentic is too fucking... What is authentic? I mean, fucking
Be
nothing...
yourself. What do you mean?
Nothing is truly authentic. Even for them, it's like they want to say X. They have to find the best way to say X by trying it out 100 times in a room. You know? Is it authentic? I don't know. It's a little curated.
Fair enough.
But it's at least been done 100 times to have reached that stage. It's like, we call a lot of food authentic. It's not authentic. It's like authentic Italian. I don't think it exists as a cuisine. It's Italian food. And then everyone's nonna makes it in a different way. It's authentic.
I triggered you when I used that word.
Yeah, authentic triggers me a bit because it's like I get the sentimentality behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, being authentic is tough, man. We live in a world where we're constantly influenced by I don't know how many things. So it's never really authentic. Yeah, you can be true to what you want to say. And you just be like, this is what I want to communicate. And I will communicate this. And I will practice this so many times that I find the best way to communicate.
Right.
It's a true version of yourself. Is it authentic? I don't know. I don't know.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
What do you think has been, the best thing about being part of the Indian comedy scene?
The best part has been that I get to laugh a lot,
Yeah.
which I really like. It's awesome. I just get to laugh a lot on a regular basis, which kind of keeps my, knowing my family gene pool, I need to keep myself happy to have a stress-free heart because could give up. So keeping that in mind, I get to laugh a lot, which is awesome. Apart from that, I think it's just awesome to be part of something which I got to be a part of something that will be there for a while, and I got to get in early, which makes me feel nice.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I have something to look forward to for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your time,
Thank you.
your authenticity.
Thank you. This is a curated version I've practiced 100 times in the mirror before I performed today. So
How was doing your first podcast?
that wasn't too bad.
Right?
'Cause, I got into a flow of it. It took me a few minutes, but then after that, I think it was,
Same.
it was nice. I enjoyed it. I also realized I have an podcast personality.
What is that? A
know.
podcast personality?
I don't know. It's like, I should unpodcast and podcasters a lot. Not publicly.
Yeah. I'm just gonna
say.
say.
It's like that this famous reel. Another white boy with a podcast. There's it's true because it really is. Everyone's fucking doing podcasts.
Is he shitting on us?
I'm not shitting on you guys. I'm not shitting on you guys. I'm part of this. Do you realize I'm in front of the fucking camera saying it?
Yeah.
But I understand the sentimentality behind some.
I'm not gonna lie. I am trying to be a white boy with a podcast. For sure.
Cool, man. I would be the brown person that.
Yeah.
But yeah, though I've really enjoyed having conversations with you in the past. It's always been fun. So just have it documented.
Yeah.
I like.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you again for doing
Thank
this
you.
and letting us be your first.
Thank you.
We shall
Thank
cherish this forever.
I've popped my podcast cherry. All right. And cut. Thank you.